All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Limitless MD. I'm your host, Vikram Raya, and today I have a dear friend, coaching client, and just amazing woman, uh, Dr. Kristina Kypuros, and she is just a Renaissance woman. And the reason why I say that is because she's a pediatric critical care doctor who also does emergency medicine in her town near San Antonio, Eagle Pass. She's also a real estate mogul with her and her husband Mario, and they have 27 units, $8 million of net worth of portfolio. She has two beautiful children. She, during the recent tragedy in Uvalde, she went and helped all these families. On top of that, she goes to conferences. She speaks recently at the ACE, which is an authentic women's empowerment physician conference. And even though I have the pleasure of coaching her, I feel like sometimes I'm learning from her just as much as she's learning from me. And so with that, Kristina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and just excited about what will come out of this talk today.
Yes. What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? My name is Vikram Raya, functional cardiologist, high-performance coach, and real estate expert. And I'm here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life so you can unlock your limitless potential and achieve greatness, all the while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in. One of the reasons why I wanted to get her on the show is because I think she does one of the most remarkable jobs of what we call, I think I use the word balance, but I'm going to talk about that in a second, but balancing family, doctoring, entrepreneurship, giving back to her communities, and just being a leader. And so how do you do it?
That's a great question. I think I just make everything a priority. And you're right, balance is such a tricky adjective to describe because I don't know that it's ever a balance, but in a scheme of a week, a scheme of a month, a scheme of a year, it may seem that way because of everything that I do participate in. And so I look at my week and I look at what priorities are important. I'm obviously still practicing 100%. I have 60 to 100 hour clinical weeks, but in that, I always go back to my why, and my why are my kids and my husband and my parents and my sibling. And so that is always a priority that I always show up to them. And then everything else that I do, I've kind of just made it fun. I'm really curious. I really want to instill the word, I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I shouldn't, I don't like using the word should anymore because then it becomes very heavy to my practice of living. And so now, as you know, but others may not, I'm really big on innovation. I am working on designing a diagnostic, non-invasive viral machine. And sometimes I get caught up in I have to do this. And I need to make this go faster. And I need the investors and I need the prototype. But then I just take a step back and realize that I get to do this. I'm a physician. I'm a female physician. I get to serve my community in underserved area of Eagle Pass and Del Rio, Texas, which are two areas along the border with Mexico. And I have learned that resources are very scarce in that area. So I feel like I'm definitely following my values, and which is another thing that I have focused on in the last 2 years, or what are my values? And for me, it's impact, contribution, growth, innovation, philanthropy. And so those are the things that drive me on a daily basis to juggle, if you will, all the cool things that I get to live.
Well, I love that, Kristina. I like the reframe. And so, guys, going back to what I said about balance, I firmly believe if you're going to be a high performing doctor, an ultra MD, as I like to call it, or a limitless MD, there's really no balance, but there's counterbalance, right? Um, uh, Based on this concept of we're all juggling, the question is, what are we juggling? And some things are rubber and some things are made of glass. Things that are made of glass are your family, your own health, right? Your principles. You never want to drop those, because if you drop those, they crack and you probably don't have another chance at that. But sometimes, things in your career or goals or hobbies or other ambitions, sometimes you can let those drop, and if it's a rubber ball, it'll bounce back up. So there are things that you go vastly back and forth and take energy and time and go from balance to counterbalance. But in the end, like Kristina was saying, that if you take a look at a year, you've done the right balance overall, net. So sometimes by giving these things that will allow you to break out and create that monumental success, I think that's what created Kristina's wonderful life. So let's talk about this. You started as a physician. What came first as sort of this external pursuit outside of medicine?
It was scarcity. So I had the quote unquote stable job with corporate America. There was 6 female board certified physicians with a very good reputation in town. And our organization decided to give us to another corporation without much gain for us. And so 5 of us walked. My personal circumstance at that time was I was pregnant with my second child. And I had always had a full-time job, but had always been doing locums or moonlighting on the side. And so my framework was, I don't think I'm not getting what I want, and I want something bigger. And I am going to entertain locums as a transition point until I find what I want. And that was my child. So our last day was December 31st, 2019. My child was born December 14th. So I was able to lock in 3 months of disability. And that boosted me to March. Well, what happens in the beginning of 2020? COVID, and the world shuts down. So my master plan of, I got this, I will still have money, I am, I'll still have income coming in.
Kristina, this all happened, all of this journey we talked about happened from 2019 onward?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So guys, I want you to know that success, growth, and your dreams don't take decades. They can be done in months, but you got to have the conviction like Kristina did, have the pathway, have the support, and then make that decision. So continue. You're talking about you're using this as a stepping stone.
Yeah. So COVID hits and I go into scarcity mindset. And I also want to highlight my husband, Mario. He is a complete, the pillar of our house. He is the foundation. He has always allowed me to work the 100 hours a week or travel out of town and take care of our first child. And then when I come up with some idea, some venture, he's extremely supportive. But at that moment in time, I went into, oh my Lord, what are we going to do? I no longer have the stable, quote unquote, income. And he again was the peacemaker, right? He once again said, it's okay. We don't need everything we've had. Like, it's fine. We sell the house. We sell our, we had 2 single family homes at the time invested in real estate. And it's like, we'll sell those. We'll be fine. And so that provided some comfort, right? And then someone else asked me, well, what's the worst thing that can happen to you? And I thought, it's true. Like, what is the worst thing? We go live with my parents. They live in a 5,000 square foot beautiful home. Like, it's like not the end of the world. So my mindset shifted again, and I ventured into the virtual world of other physician leaders. And I took Bonnie Koo's wealthy physician mom. At the time, it had a different name, but I signed up for her course because that's what I needed, right? I wanted to be wealthy. I'm a physician. I'm now a mother, and I have no idea what to do with my finances because I don't have a quote unquote real stable job.
I just want to just unpack things as you share this amazing story. So you got curious, you looked at the worst case scenario, you looked at options, and you said, you know what, we can do this. You had an honest and transparent discussion with your loved ones, and then you got curious, and then you started getting education and empowerment outside of the typical realm we doctors do, which is medical school, residency, fellowship, training, and New England Journal of Medicine. You said, hey, look, there must be information out there, or there may be other people out there who've done something different and they've achieved the kind of result I want. Let me learn from them. So, I always believe in the 3 I's, right? Imitate, iterate, and then innovate. So now you're like, all right, let me imitate someone else, Bonnie Koo or whoever else who's doing something that I want to do. So then what happened?
And even in the middle of all of that, right? Like my space was still in entropy. Like I just saw balls kind of bouncing off of this container, and I had no direction, but I kept being more curious. And I came and found Peter Kim, who is a physician and a real leader in real estate and passive income, MD, as well as having these conferences for other physicians who are doing life outside of medicine. And then Letty and Kenji, and then Sunny Smith with Empowering Women. And Letty and Kenji, they have semi-retired MD. And so I just kept taking all these courses. And so you're right. I guess I was getting empowered with lots of knowledge, but each course I took some massive action. And by the end of the year, I had invested our money in 2 syndications, and we had purchased a few more properties. And so that led into 2021, which is when I took Sunny Smith's course. And also in the middle of that, I always have had invention ideas that I've jotted down. And I always told myself, when I retire, in my 50s, in my 60s. And I realized during 2020, as I have a 18-month-old and a newborn, I was like, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do this now, because this is for my kids, right? I go back to my why and my values, and this is for them. And so I started exploring. I have 7 invention ideas. I met with a patent attorney, started doing the research. And since then, I've continued with research. I've submitted some grants, and I've connected with UT Austin, the Texas Catalyst Group, and UT San Antonio. So I am definitely stepping in an uncomfortable zone, right? Because this world of innovation is new lingo. It's like going to med school, like new language, new terms. And just when I'm like, well, why am I doing this? I don't need to do this. I think, how fun is this to do, right? How fun that I'm learning, even if nothing becomes of it, which I think it will, but, or I know it will, but it's just fun now. It's like, I get to meet new people and network with all sorts of really cool human beings that are doing stuff out of the ordinary, right? Like they're not just a physician or a lawyer or a teacher, and not that those are ordinary people, but even these individuals are doing stuff outside of the norm. And so it's really cool to just network and create that that tribe of uniqueness, authenticity, and people who are being courageous.
Let's talk about something that a lot of people listening are going to be wondering. Like, hey, I'm a physician. Maybe my spouse is also a physician, or they're all another high income professional earner. We want to start doing these things, but like, I'm afraid of our relationship with our spouse. I'm afraid of my relationship with my children. I'm not going to see them enough. Or, am I going to get burnt out because I'm doing all these things? What do you say to those physicians who are not yet taking this step into their highest and best self?
I think the first thing to do is really define for yourself, what is it that you want to do? And it's okay that you don't know exactly, but after you identify what are your dreams, what are your aspirations, I think the second thing is have that very open discussion with your husband or your partner or your significant other, because you do need that support to make sure that the house is balanced. Let them know, and let them also share what their opinions are and what their thoughts are, and if they can fully support you. And it may not be the time to get supported at that time, and for other reasons, right? Like an elderly parent that you need to take care of or what have you. But once you have, at least for us in our household, like once I had the support of my husband, then I knew that our journey was limitless.
And I know that one of the reasons why you're able to pull this off, Kristina, is because you believe in extreme self-care. And that's something like I notice as a pattern among all the high performers I interview. Self-care. And what does that self-care mean to you? And what does your protocol look like? So maybe we can learn.
What I do for self-care is I work out 5 to 6 times a week. Again, I work 60 to 100 hours on most weeks of the month, but I still find time, whether that's a 12-minute Tabata, whether that's a 15-minute heavy weight workout, whether that's getting some yoga in, whether that's a HIIT. I find whatever my body needs, and that's what I go. Most of the time, though, I do get a good 45-minute workout in. Some other self-care measures I have taken and I have learned from our tribe, meaning the Limitless MD tribe and the mighty, our mighty network, is meditation. And I don't know that I believed in that at all. However, Vikram convinced me that I could just start 3 minutes a day. And that 3 minutes has led to 30 minutes almost 5 times a week at this point. Oh. And so there is actually a really phenomenal physician, cardiologist. Her name is Disha Phillips. And if you guys want to follow her,
they'll be in the show notes, guys.
Yeah, she's on meditation for female physicians on Facebook. And she is just full of energy. And what I love about her, what inspires me to wake up at 6 a.m. and listen to her is there's a theme for the morning. She always shares like a patient physician story, which I can personally connect to. And then she picks a card. And then that card is the meditation, sets the tone for the meditation. And then we go into our silent meditation. So there's a pattern. And because it's so structured, my brain does very well with that.
That's awesome. So meditation has really helped take care of the inner game, the outer game with the exercise. I know you pray as well. And then tell me about service. Like sometimes we have to get outside of ourselves, and maybe, we're a doctor and obviously we serve our communities, but you serve your communities in other ways. Tell me what happened, unfortunately, during that tragedy we experienced in the United States here, Uvalde, where you were on ground zero, which is, outside of San Antonio. Tell me about that and what are you doing to help those families?
Yeah. So what happened in May of this year was a terrible massacre in Uvalde, Texas, which is a community that I am that's very well known to me. It's an hour away from my hometown of Eagle Pass, Texas. And so I've driven through there, when I say thousands of times, like thousands of times. And so not only that, but the first teacher that was killed actually went to Eagle Pass High School with me. She was a year under me, and her mom is best friends with a very good family friend we have who comes to spend a lot of time with us here in San Antonio. And so when it hit home at multiple levels. I too have a 10-year-old niece who I'm her godmother. And so this could have just been our child as well. So I know families across the nation felt it. And so I was watching TV, which I rarely do, actually. I rarely turn on the news. I usually just look up important events on a daily basis, but I got sucked into the media and the horrifying events of that day. And I became depressed. I just wanted to sleep. And I was actually working in Austin those days, and I didn't want to do anything. And so again, I had to kind of just reflect, take it in, go through the grief, feel the grief. And then 2 days later, I'm like, I'm going to do something about this. So I share spaces with other physicians, other entrepreneurs, and other women. And I said, I really want to create these care packages and take it to them. And I had so much support emotionally and financially. And so I created 30 packages worth at least $300 in very thought out pieces for the families to take and grief. I have delivered them to all the victims' families, and I've expressed what each piece was, and they have all been nothing but grateful. So one item, and I'll just go through it because God forbid we go through this, but I seem to have really found tenderness in their own heart. And it's a book, and it's called Grief After Loss, and it has prayers, and it has meditations, and it also has blank pages. And so they can decide if they just want to be angry and write on the blank pages, or be more peaceful and meditate, or have that spiritual connection and say a prayer. And I have also, what I shared with them is you may want this now, you may want this 5 months from now, you may want this 5 years from now, but know that this is always available to you. And then,
so, Kristina, I want to jump in there because I really love the fact that you took your anguish and your concern and you took action and you actually impacted and helped the community. And I think you've just been an absolute inspiration to all our listeners today because of how you live your life. And I go back to your values: impact, contribution, growth, philanthropy, right? And that's why you do what you do. And it seems to be curiosity drives that. Curiosity and wanting to give back. As your kids grow up and as you continue to thrive in your community and you become a leader among physicians out there, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
I think the biggest impact is my ability to be a visionary and really hone in on my innovation skills. I definitely want to complete my this viral machine I'm working on, and leave that as something that a very small portion of medicine that I have left in the world.
That's beautiful. Guys, if you're a physician and you have an invention or you are already, in the process of inventing, Kristina asked me to reach out to all of those inventors out there and reach out to her directly because she wants to be a resource. She wants to be a collaborator. She wants to be, a sounding board where you can bounce ideas off each other. So where can they find out more about you, Kristina, and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, we're currently working on a web page, but it's going to be Kristina Kypuros MD.com. And you could always email me at kkypuros@gmail.com. And then you can find me on Facebook under Kristina Kypuros or Instagram as Keeps Care. So KYPSKARE.
That's awesome. And with that, guys, it's really possible to have it all, do it all, and be all. But you got to have clarity. You got to have a strategy, a plan. You got to reach out and ask for support and help. And then you got to just go make things happen. And with that, Kristina, thank you so much for all your wisdom and sharing with us your experiences. And for all those Limitless MD listeners out there, again, continue to be great and be phenomenal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below or simply visit vikramraya.com. So until next time, my friends, be phenomenal.